How's it going, everybody? Well, that's kind of a dumb question, isn't it? It's going terrible. It's just going terrible. I don't have a lot of prepared statements. I released a video a few minutes ago called Fire Cashman, Boone, Timms, fire everybody. Restart. Hit the reset button. Hit the reset button. This team has completely lost its focus. Completely. 100% lost its focus. Marcus Timms is not the right hitting coach for this team, first of all. This team can't score runs. They had a couple of decent days, but overall this team has been awful offensively. Brian Cashman has built a home run or nothing roster that's basically nothing right now. Not hitting home runs. And he built a pitching staff that was put together with duct tape and gum and glue and stitched together with yarn. 3 guys that they were counting on to be part of the solution. Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon, and Luis Severino threw a combined 1 inning last year. 1 inning. And I said when they traded for Jameson Taillon and they signed Corey Kluber, I don't remember which happened first. I think they signed Kluber and then they traded for Taillon. When they traded for Taillon, I said, it seems kind of odd that they're relying on guys who haven't pitched for an organization that's considered first class, that's considered, a Ferrari. And they're putting together this team with a bunch of guys who can't stay healthy. By the way, sometimes the only solution is Jack Daniels. So cheers to you guys out there who are enjoying your weekend. This team is so frustrating to watch. They can't play baseball. They just cannot play baseball. Down 7-0. Routine ground ball to shortstop. And Rougned Odor, down 7-0. Takes off for third. It's hit right at him. It's hit right. Have you never played baseball before? Ever? In your life? What the hell are you thinking? Is this team just a bunch of just mental midgets? Is this just a bunch of dummies? I just don't get what these guys are thinking out there on the field. I just don't get it. And after the game, same old Aaron Boone says, if we're the team that we think we are, we should do yada, yada, yada. Guess what, Aaron Boone? You're not the team you think you are. If you're watching this, you are not the team you think you are. You are a shitty team. You are a bad team. You are an embarrassment. An embarrassment to Yankees fans, to the city of New York, to America. You're an embarrassment. The UFO report is coming out in a couple of days. You're an embarrassment to planet Earth. Fuck Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman. That's the only time I'm going to swear on this podcast. Absolutely terrible. Jesus Chavez says, what are you drinking, brother? I'm drinking Jack Daniel's Apple Whiskey. By the way, we got a little dono, Yankees highlights, and I'm going to drop these down here so you guys can be featured. Says, that was one of the best rants I've heard from a Yankees fan. So I did post a video on, just general thoughts during the game. I put together a pregame, and I did the lineups, and I had highlights, and I had I had a sponsor ready to go. I got a new sponsor that I'm excited about. And I was ready to have my traditional postgame show. But I had to cancel it because there was no highlights. There was no Yankees highlights. None. It was like, would they have 4 hits? Absolutely atrocious. How does Marcus Timms still have a job? If I sucked that bad at my job, they wouldn't just fire me. They wouldn't give me a reference. Marcus Timms should be out of baseball. Marcus Timms shouldn't even be teaching high school kids how to hit, let alone the New York Yankees. Aaron Boone was handed the keys to a Ferrari. That team came 1 game away from the World Series in 2017. He takes over in 2018. I don't want to hear how many regular season games he won in 2018 or 2019 because it doesn't matter, because the team didn't show up when it counted in the playoffs. Absolutely atrocious. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Yankees highlight says 3 hits. All right, let's hear from somebody else. Sprinting Water says, what's new? Unfortunately, nothing. Unfortunately, nothing is new. It's the same story every day with this team. Can't hit, and now lately we can't pitch. Over the last, I want to say 14 games. I've got a note here. I made a note during the game. Over the last 14 games, Yankees starters have a 6.16 ERA. 6.16! Ah! Ugh! Rougned Odor made the Yankees 31st out on the bases. Absolutely atrocious. The Mets have already fired their hitting coach. T-Bird says the D-backs fired their hitting coach or their manager. I don't even know who they fired. I don't really pay attention to teams other than the Yankees. But look, heads got to roll. If there's no accountability, then what the hell are you doing? What incentive is there for things to change? What incentive is there for things to get better? Ronald Pena says, do you think the Yankees are making the playoffs? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The Yankees have less than a 50% chance, according to Fangraphs, of making the playoffs. They're on pace for roughly 82 wins, I think. I usually count on Brian Hoke. He does the math. He's the math guy. Absolutely terrible team. Poorly constructed. What the hell is Giancarlo Stanton even doing in a professional sporting uniform? If you can't play the outfield, you can't run around in the outfield, what are you even doing? What's the point of bench pressing all those supermodels on Instagram if you can't play the outfield? What are you doing, G? Giancarlo Stanton should fucking retire. I said I wasn't going to swear again. Giancarlo Stanton needs to retire. He's not going to give up the money, obviously. He's not going to retire because he's got the Yankees over a barrel. If you can't play the position, if you can't participate in half of the sport, what are you doing? What are you even doing? That's horrible. Yoel says 82 is a lot. This team is circling the drain and fast. Circling the drain. Grayson Gaming says start the rebuild. Not with Brian Cashman. Not with Brian Cashman. You cannot let Brian Cashman be the face of this rebuild. He's tried to rebuild this team, and he failed. You have more assets than any team in baseball. You got more money than any team in baseball. You can buy your way out of this, and you choose not to. I'm just through the roof mad. Lori C says, John Carla. He deserves that. Absolutely terrible. And he's made of glass. Absolutely. I agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Jesus Chavez says, I would teach Stanton to play first base. Hell, it worked for Scott Hatteberg. By the way, Luke Voit did pick up a double in his rehab game today. So hopefully he's on his way back. We'll see. Lori C says, excellent rant on Trashman. I appreciate the donut. Grayson Gaming says, fire Cashman. I agree. All right, so let's go through who's a keeper. Let's pretend that we're rebuilding. Oh my God, Jinx, great comment, says 2021 luxury tax champs. Yeah, I hope Hal's getting his money's worth. I hope that he's having a nice Sunday on his yacht or flying around in his airplane while we're all sitting down here miserable by this construction. $200 million? Are you kidding me? While the Rays have one of the cheapest rosters in baseball, and they're playing elite defense, and they're dominating the division. So here's what I would do. If Luke Voit comes back and hits at all, if he hits for power, you got to move him, because you can get something for Luke Voit. I would move Clint Frazier. Clint Frazier sucks. I'm sorry to all the Clint Frazier fans out there. Clint Frazier is bad at baseball. He's terrible. The guy cannot play baseball. Miguel Andujar, I love the son of a bitch. I love him. He can hit. He's your DH. He's your DH. He can't cut off the ball in the outfield. He's got a good arm, got a decent arm, but he looks awkward. If he gets near the wall, near the warning track, it's going to drop in because he gets all nervous. But he can hit, so you got to keep him around. I think he should be your DH. I would keep Judge and Wright. I would keep DJ LeMahieu as your first baseman. I would slide Gleyber Torres back over to second base. He was great as a second baseman. Not good. He was great as a second baseman. The Yankees need a left-handed hitting outfielder in left field. They need a shortstop. They need a center fielder. They need those three positions. I love Gio Urshela. He's playing as good as he's going to play. You might be able to get something for him if you decide to break it down. I hate to say that. I hate to do it because I love watching Gio Urshela. He's one of the only competent baseball players on this team. Jesus Chavez says, remember, Andujar isn't an outfielder. You're absolutely right.
Yes, I agree.
But that's part of the problem with this roster construction. That's why you got to get rid of Brian Cashman. You got guys playing out of position all over the place. You got guys playing all over the place that are out. Tyler Wade played center field the other day. Tyler Wade's a second baseman. He's a backup utility infielder. What the hell is he doing? Elite Assassin says, DH Andujar and play Stanton in left. I'm sure they would love to do that. But unfortunately, if Giancarlo Stanton runs more than 15 feet at more than 25%, he's going to miss 3 friggin' months. The guy is not an athlete. He's the most buff human being I've ever seen in my life. He looks great when he's on the cover of Men's Fitness or whatever. The guy's not an athlete. He's not a baseball player. 31 years old, you should be ashamed of yourself. When I was 31 years old, I was overweight, I was out of shape, and I still played center field. And I never got hurt. You know? This guy is just a mess. A mess. Where's your pride? Where's your pride, Giancarlo? How can you let this happen to your career? How can you go from MVP to sitting out a series because you can't play the outfield? The outfield! We're not talking shortstop here. We're talking stand there, maybe jog after a couple of fly balls. If someone ropes it into the corner or hits one over your head, just jog over and get it. This guy was an elite defender for several years. That's what happens when you lift too much weights. That's what happens. You have to maintain flexibility. You can't think of yourself as a mashing hulk of a human being and still play the outfield. You've got to be an athlete. Look at Ricky Leday in the World Series off of Kevin Brown. Ricky Leday was like 185 pounds. Hit 6 something that World Series. I think he hit 640 that World Series. Don Mattingly, 6 foot, 180 pounds. Not an athletic bone in his body, but his head was always in the game, and he worked his ass off. And he showed up every day to play ball because he wanted to win, because he cared more about the team than he cared about going to nightclubs and being rich and famous. Jinx says, bring up Florial. Unfortunately, Estevan Florial is batting 137 at AAA. Danielle Bernstein says, Bryce Harper would have been nice, but Cashman said no. Ridiculous. I had my heart set on Bryce Harper. You know, you're not going to see him sitting out. That guy is out there to play. He will run through a wall for you. Bryce Harper loves baseball. He loves the game. He's out there to win. He's out there to beat you. Him and Girardi are going to do great things together in Philadelphia. Mark my words. Philadelphia will win a World Series before the Yankees do. Mark my words. Grayson says, I was excited for the Yankees this season, all my allowance money for nothing. Hey, at least you get an allowance. For some people, their allowance is they get to live at home. Lori C says, sell the team. Absolutely. Elon Musk. Let's bring in Elon Musk. He can afford it. He's got enough projects going on. And if the team continues to suck, he can just launch them into fucking space. Jesus Chavez says, don't forget about Machado. He would have been nice. Problem with Machado, I don't buy Machado's act. He's kind of like an aloof kind of, he's one of those, he's like Giancarlo Stanton. He's kind of, he cares more about what he's more fashion than function. I just can't stand it. I just can't stand to watch this team. My life is about baseball. My life is about the Yankees. Since 1992, I've maybe missed 6 or 7 Yankees games. Maybe. If I couldn't watch it live, I recorded it or I listened to it on the radio. When I was in college freshman year, before MLB TV existed, the game was simulcast on the radio. I scheduled my courses around not having courses during the Yankees games, like when they would typically play. And I would sit in my car, I would drive to Elizabeth's Pizza on Market Street in Wilmington, and I would get a $6 personal pizza, and I would listen to the game, and I would eat my pizza. I ate at Elizabeth's Pizza 97 days in a row. That's why I'm fat now. Oh my God, Lori C with another dono. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love, guys. Bilal Qureshi, I hope I pronounced that right. I probably butchered it. Says sell the team, or says Trey Ambergi. I was reading another thing. Trey Ambergi. So Ambergi's actually raking at AAA. I think you should get him up here. Unhinged says, I'll gladly buy the Yankees. Hey, with all those donos you got during your stream, you should. You can afford it. Oh, my goodness. I feel like I want to vomit a coat hanger. Like this team brings this depth out of me that it's just inside of me. It's like this demon that comes out, and it's like that movie Venom. I've got this like symbiotic relationship with some kind of like demon that gets pissed off when the Yankees. Wambag Doodle says, how do you watch this garbage? I drink Jack Daniels. I drink a lot of it while I'm watching this garbage. Nate says, how many players has this organization ruined? Well, they definitely ruined Giancarlo Stanton. Has Giancarlo Stanton ever heard of stretching? Has he ever heard of flexibility? How do you call yourself a professional athlete and be unable to play outfield? Unhinged says Trey Ambergi. I agree. Let's do it.
Yes, I agree.
Anything. Literally anyone. Anyone. Bring back Ricky Leday. He's 50 years old. I don't care. We got to get somebody else in there. Cashman, Boone, and Marcus Timms have got to go. Lori C says, how bad is Judge's injury? Well, the Yankees said that he was available to pinch hit today. That is just a stiff back. My guess is 2 months. Because the Yankees lie. Because Aaron Boone lies. He's a lying liar. He lies. GOLV says, try single barrel Jack Daniels. Hey, Wyatt LaPrade with a $4.99 super chat. Hey, if you super chat, you can send a message and then I'll read it. But I appreciate it. So send a message, post something, and I'll put it up on the screen. Jaden Sanchez says, a Phillies fan yelled in his ear. I don't blame you. After Domingo Germán walked Aaron Nola, who is the pitcher, I heard the fans heckling, you walked the pitcher? What are you doing? Absolutely atrocious. Just horrendous. Nate says, I know damn well number 21 could come from the booth and hit at least 280. Paul O'Neill would be a great hitting coach. Look, back in 96, I just got done recording a podcast. I was going to do a 6-part series, and I'm still considering it, on the Yankees dynasty from the late 90s through 2000, like a serial podcast, kind of like in the style of Slow Burn. And I hired a writer to write episode 1, and it was dog shit. Sorry if you're watching this, Roger. You're a terrible writer. I had to rewrite the whole thing. It ended up being 9 pages long, and it's like 40 minutes. And so I decided, that's too long for a video. So instead, I might turn it into a book. I'm considering writing a book about like that dynasty and just as a fan, my feelings about it. And so I lost my train of thought, but that team hired a bunch of coaches that were ex-Yankees players. They had Willie Randolph. They had Mel Stottlemyre. They had ex-Yankees players that were notable. And this team just brings in a bunch of nobodies. You got to get some guys who played in New York who understand how to win. Okay, so let's see. Wyatt says, I'll send another LOL with the shortstop market this offseason. Let's go out and make a move. 100% agree.
Yes, I agree.
Look, Gleyber Torres is playing well at shortstop this year, but he should be a second baseman. He's a second baseman. Alexander Soto says, what about the Severino injury? So last I heard he was having an MRI. He's in the MRI tube, probably as we speak this afternoon. Just judging by the way he reacted, That wasn't a strain. That wasn't a grade 1 strain. He tore something off the bone. We're not going to see Severino at least until September, if at all. I think Severino's probably done for the year. And I think that since he signed that contract before the 2019 season, he's pitched in 5 games. That's worse than the Carl Pavano contract, and it's basically the same amount of money. Carl Pavano got $40 million. Luis Severino got $40 million. Somebody pull up how many innings Carl Pavano pitched. I know he pitched in several games in 2005, and then he came back, briefly in 2007. Severino has not pitched in years. David Cohn, that's a guy who was out partying and banging girls all night. He talks about it every broadcast. He was around town. He was a playa parlay all night and all day, baby. Didn't lift weights. Took the mound every day because he understood pitching. It's about baseball. It's about spinning the baseball. It's about being tough. The Yankees don't have that tough factor. They don't have it. THD Wicked 50 Cal says, please fire Boone and Timms along with whoever is the coach that handles base running. Do they even have a base running coach? Do they even have one? I don't know. I don't know who it could possibly be. Because whoever's teaching them how to run the bases, these guys are professional baseball players. You have to imagine if you played professional baseball, you played in Little League, you played in high school, you played in American Legion. A lot of them probably played in college or played in Dominican leagues. You didn't learn how to run the bases? That's the problem. Another problem with getting nothing but home run hitters or guys who relied on home runs. Because typically home run hitters don't have to run the bases as much. They're just station to station, hit the ball out of the ballpark and jog around. This team is poorly constructed. Brian Cashman has to go. Bilal Qureshi says, Pavano, 3 years, 145 innings. Wow. He was awful. T-Bird says, Bozo the Clown is the base running coach. We're going to get 2 consecutive clown horns. Oh, man. Jaden Sanchez says, guys, remember it's kind of Garrett Cole's fault, too, on getting Taillon because he said he's good. Well, look, they're best friends, and I don't want to put anything on Garrett Cole or Jameson Taillon that's undeserved, but it's kind of funny that, they both, as soon as MLB stops allowing the sticky substances, they both have their worst start of the year. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I think they were both cheating. And I think that it affects Jameson Taillon more because he sucks, because he's coming back from 2 Tommy John surgeries, and he's just not that good. I just don't get it. Soul Doy says, today is the nadir of the season. I don't know what nadir means. I got to look that one up. Wampag Doodle says, the fatter the guy, the less the chance of the injury. Hey, maybe that's why I never got hurt, carrying those extra 20 pounds. I didn't have to run too hard. Benjamin says, Odor looks like that guy from the Goonies. Hey, you guys! That would be Sloth. Great movie, by the way. Is CC coming back? Says Circuity 100. We need him more than ever. CC is done. CC pitched until his arm fell off, but I would love to see CC Sabathia as a coach on this team. He would make a great bench coach. Great bench coach. I don't think he wants to do that, though. He's actually got a book coming out called Till the End, and I have reached out to his company to try and get him on the podcast. So hopefully we'll have him on very soon. Daryl Leon says, the Yankees can't use Manscaped because they have no balls. Absolutely hilarious. Doug L says, nadir is low point. That makes sense. I think there was a submarine called the Nadir that went down to the Titanic and stuff. That makes sense now. That makes sense to me. Big Pun says boycott the Yankees. 100%.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I can't do it because I rely on this as part of my income. So I have to cover it and come back. But I'm not going to do highlights on games like this where they just get murdered. I'm just going to come here and rant. Because who wants to watch highlights of the Phillies beating the Yankees silly? I don't want to see that. I don't want that to be part of my oeuvre. I'm over it. I'm just over this construction of this team. I'm over Brian Cashman and his silly little press conferences. We're getting better. We're knocking on the door. Aaron Boone, same thing. We're a really good team. We know we believe in the guys in the room. And lay in my hammock. I hope you guys have a better evening than I'm probably gonna have. I will see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. If you really enjoyed it, check out the swag section. We've got tons of great designs to support all your favorite Yankees. And if you simply cannot get enough Yankees content, check out the podcast version of this channel, The Frieze by NYY Recaps, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Derek. Thanks for watching.